Okay, we're good to go. Okay, so meeting 3, discuss situations where you've employed the various sources of power and influence. Who wants to go first? I can go first. Let's see here. So, let's see. Well, I know I've used reward power before. During the holidays at our store, we sell like spiral sliced ham, which are really big at Christmas. So our busiest week of the year, the first time we were selling different sides and things, they weren't really selling very well. So I told all the employees who were working the front, whoever sold the most could get a $5 gift card each day. So they would like add up to like, I think it was $20. And it helped people push those sides so well because they all were working towards getting that reward. So that I thought was a really great use of reward power. For coercive power, I've definitely had to do that too, where we had one kid who continually showed up late, and I finally told him, you know, if you can't do the job, I'm going to find something else you can. And that seemed to help for a little while, at least get back into working decently well. I know I've, as a follower, referent power, just letting someone you admire kind of influence your behavior. I know I've done that as a follower. My old boss was just fantastic, and I really looked up to her, and I probably would have done anything. I was running errands for all over the office just because I really liked her and I wanted to impress her, I guess. Yeah, and information power, I know I use that kind of the opposite way. And an example I could think of where we switched to a new computer system at work right before I was leaving. So I made a point of not learning it. And then when I came back, everyone couldn't ask me all the questions about this isn't working. So they'd have to call someone else. And I'd be like, sorry, I can't come anymore. Because I was before getting the 8, 9 p.m. phone calls like, hey, this isn't working, can you talk me through it? And it's like, I'm being, with friends or dinner or something. So by excluding myself from having the information, I felt like I was able to have some the opposite of power. I don't know how to explain it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
Hey, can when the person who's not talking, can you mute, because I'm having trouble hearing the person talking? Because Elisa, you didn't mute, and I couldn't hear very well. I kept hearing her feedback. I mean, when she was talking, is what I mean.
I think
Oh, it was just that I was hearing her, and then the feedback from your computer too, from her talking. Sorry, I had trouble hearing her.
Oh, sorry about that. I thought I had it mute because it had a little microphone. Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I thought I had it on mute.
It's all good. Do you want to go next, Elsa?
Sure. My biggest thing is I'm powerless talker, because I always say one of those as I am doing right now. I need to go figure out how I can work around that and become a more powerful talker. Also one of my experience with the coercive power and reward power. I always put myself in a situation that I have oh God, you see, when I have everything in my brain, it just all mumbles up. The reward power, I use that with my children as to see if you do something, you're going to get a reward back. And I always use that to get what I need from my children. So I consider that as motivation as well, and giving them a reward helps them achieve what they want to do. Like if I want to get my kids to clean up their homework, hey, you get a piece of candy if you finish your room up, and they'll do it. So I think that's one of the power I use the most in my house is the reward, and sometimes coercive too. So um, that's it. Besides my powerless talk as well, I need to learn how to jot
I bet with kids too, as a parent, you could probably use legitimate power a lot by being like, hey, I'm the mom. That's why you have to do it.
Yeah, I can see I can use that too, but I'm not a legitimate person. I'm more like a down to earth. My kids are not bad, so whenever I say something to them, they're like, okay, if they do something bad, they know I would set my foot down and like, hey, that's bad. You got a 5 minutes timeout. I'm a type of person who, if you don't do what I said, you're gonna hold some consequences. So I forgot which power is that one. That's the legitimate or the coercive one, I think, right?
Yeah, the coercive power.
Yeah, that was the coercive power. So I know what I want, and I know what I'm asking for somebody, and if they don't do it, I'm not gonna let it slide by. I'm just gonna like, hey, this is the consequences. So, yep, that's my feed into the power of this chapter. Let me.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. Honestly, and I'll be honest, I've actually never been in any significant leadership position or management position, mostly because I've just been fearful of that kind of responsibility. And so reading this chapter about leadership and power, I didn't relate to it as much. As a parent, like you mentioned, that is the only sort of major leadership position I've ever been in. And my goal is more to be like a role model, if anything, for my son. It's referred to as referent power. To set a good example for him so that he grows up to be someone with high self-esteem, high emotional intelligence. I've always wanted to have sort of expert power. I wanted people to always see me as an expert of something, want to come to me for advice on, something that I'm really good at, and, admire me for that. Maybe that's a bit self-centered, but, who doesn't want to be recognized for something that they've worked hard to attain, their skills, their education, and all that. But I've actually never experienced legitimate power. No, I've never been in a position. I've never wanted to be in a position like that. The idea of being a manager of a major corporation scares me. I don't know if you guys share the same opinion about that. Some people love to be in management. They love to be in those leadership positions. I'm not one of them. I don't know. I don't think I could ever be a pilot, like a commercial pilot, for the same reason. You have such a huge position of responsibility over so many lives. And it's just a little scary for me. But I don't want to have that attitude all the time. I'd like to one day be a leader. I just haven't found where I need to be a good leader. What career where I would fit in perfectly and not be scared. Well, anyway, this chapter was very interesting. I'm really hoping I can learn a lot more from it. I am trying to avoid all the powerless talk things too that it mentions. I don't know if I've completely weaned myself off of that, but I've been trying to. So, but I'm good. Hope I talked long enough.
Okay, so Melody, I'm like almost the exact opposite. I have almost experience that I can draw upon anymore. I wouldn't say my leadership role is significant, but it's always at least in a supervisor role. That being said, like I can't stress it's not like a real significant role, but it's enough to help me understand like the ins and outs and everything. Like coercive power wouldn't really apply to it because I don't really have the authority to be like, yo, I'm docking salary or something. Like that's still higher than where I'm at. So I mean, over time, and as you were saying, like, you know, you want to be seen as like somebody who does it with expert power or referent power. Like you want to be a role model, or you want to have somebody who's like tenured in what you do. And those levels, a supervisory pattern where like I would, lacking the authority, I would kind of use wit and use these like personality things to influence the way people did things, so that like over time it was kind of like, you know, expert power in the way that like I didn't have any true authority over anybody, but I had enough experience in there to kind of influence the way people did things up a little bit by acting and speaking as if I had some authority, not to perform some certain action, but instead, you know, pointing out people's flaws, pointing out people's mistakes, not making those mistakes, making people aware where they could be better, made it appear as though I was in a position of power, but it was actually just a position of arrogance, which is great. Highly recommended. If you don't have power, then you need to find a way to get into somebody's head and have them do what you want them to do. And you can't be like, I'm gonna fire you if you don't do this thing. Like, you have to have ways of influencing them. I like to, you know, I can real good with organizational stuff, real good with information. I'm really good with diluting information or controlling what kind of information is going to where. You know, I really hate the drama and I hate the politics of like organizations. So I try to stay on top of it. But if it comes to, you know, if it comes to me being in a follower situation and seeing this stuff brought up, then I'm more than well versed to, you know, handle these kinds of things. That's all I got.
Sounds good. We have 2.5 minutes left until we're at 15 minutes. So does anyone have any final thoughts they want to add?
So, well, he brought up a thought. I don't think there's anything wrong with being a follower. I mean, I don't like being a leader, but I don't think there's anything wrong about being a follower. I was reading online earlier this morning saying that future careers are going to change so radically in 10 years to be more of a follower type of organizational structure for most companies instead of a leader. It's going to be more successful companies are going to be structured to be more democratic, not hierarchical, which is the way they are now, which is sort of the old system of doing things. We're still kind of in that transition from the industrial age to the modern age of what we are today. It's going to get even more different, I think, based on what I was reading online about the changes of companies. So honestly, you know, I'm actually kind of glad to hear that because I like being a follower. I actually enjoy being important in that capacity as long as I get paid for, you know, a living wage and above, you know, for my hard work and efforts and education and all that. But I'm completely content not being a leader as long as I get to be at least an expert. So that's what I think anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I think being a leader and a follower is both important. I mean, you can't have a leader without followers, and you don't necessarily need to have a leader to have followers. I mean, you can have followers without a specific leader. I think someone generally does step up and kind of takes that role. We talked about that, I think, last week. But yeah, I think in a lot of, I'm taking an intercultural business communication class right now, and that's what we're talking about. A lot of other countries have a more horizontal powers. You know what I'm trying to say? I can't think of the words right now, but power is more spread out
I took the class
horizontally.
already, so I do understand.
Yeah. So it's, I think it just depends on different cultures and how they recognize, individualism versus collectivism. And if, having a lot of,
Did you get to use GlobeSmart? That is the most awesome.
Yeah, we do.
On the planet. Love that thing.
It's so great. So that's where I'm getting a lot of this from. A lot of cultures, it's more important that everyone is seen as equal rather than having a specific leader up top and followers at the bottom. Good deal.
And
anything else from anyone?
And what Melody was saying, I'm in one of my courses is called Reinventing Organization. And it's more the concept of learning how to self-motivate with hierarchy and human consciousness, and how one organization can go to one color. So have y'all read the book Jim Collins, The Great to Good, Good to Great book? Well, yeah, I gotta read it. It's basically all of these organizations, they study on what leadership and how the leadership roles emerged companies to becoming very successful companies. And the other one that I'm doing, which is Reinventing Organization, I'm following a book with some guy from Germany, and he's the one who's taking it to the next level with the organization within the human consciousness, and what we are doing to make organizations more successful. And Melanie went to one step of it when they were talking about the changing from the hierarchies downwards, so nobody would know anything with anarchy. I think that's a great. I would love that, to see that in more organizations, for everybody to just not follow what the top people say, and everybody will just come together and focus on what needs to be done. Not like, hey, the CEO say this, now everybody have to go, boo, 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 boo. Let's go, hurry up, and, y'all getting what I'm saying? I'm done.
Awesome.
I just wanted to put my input.
Perfect. We're over 15 minutes now, so I'm cool if I end it.